as you know, everybody Facebook ads and how they can boost your business exponentially. But what are LinkedIn ads? Do they work? Have you ever considered using them in your business but simply aren't sure if they would work or even how to get so? Our special guest today, AJ Wilcox, you're going to love him, y'all, is going to give us the skinny on what LinkedIn ads could bring to us as business owners. I just want to set the stage for what this is all about today. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. As you're let me know where you are in the world, and did you get into anything special this weekend? As many of you know, if you were here last week, you know I got into a bee's nest while I was mowing the yard and got about 25 stings. I'm recuperating good. If I could get rid of the itch, it would be good, but I did not mow the yard this weekend. I'm like, no way. I want to take a minute and give a special shout out to our amazing sponsor, Restream. If you want an easy peasy lemon squeezy tool to create professional live streams, then I promise you Restream is a definite option. Personally, I use Restream and I'm using it right now to go live on multiple social media channels at the same time, right from my browser. So no multiple devices. It's all right here in front of my browser or on my browser. Right now, we are live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and a few Facebook groups. You can obviously interview guests like I'm doing today, brand your broadcast, bring up your viewers' comments, and so much more. You can even pull in custom graphics and videos and do some sound effects. It is the perfect platform for new and experienced creators. So if you're brand new, never done it before, or if you're just looking for a great tool that allow you to do more, then check out Restream. Obviously, if you want to have all the bells and whistles, you're going to need a paid plan, but I have great news for you. Restream offers my peeps a huge 25% off for life discount. I mean, for life, like you very rarely get discounts like this. So if you're interested in a great tool, definitely check it out. We have all the details in the comments. So grab the trial. Grab an account and get 25% off. You are going to love this little resource. Okay. The good news too is, hey, Jenny, I want to say hey to everybody real quick. For those of you who might have never been on one of my live shows, I want to introduce myself. My name is Kim Garst. I am an online monetization strategist. I've owned an online business for like 30 years. So I've been around the corner a couple of times when it comes to the online space. I love helping people make more money in their business. And I love bringing other people to you that have skill sets that I don't, which is why I'm so excited to be talking about LinkedIn ads today, because I've never done LinkedIn ads. So I'm with you guys in this. I'm going to be learning as we go. If you have questions, feel free to ask them. If you're brand new, never been on one of my shows before, introduce yourself. I'd love to say, hey, yay. Hey, good to see you, Alice. All right, who else is in the house? Daniel, good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so a couple of other little things before I intro AJ and we get him in here and start picking his brain around LinkedIn ads. I always hate that term, picking the brain, because it sounds so gosh awful, right? But that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to like delve in and figure out what he knows a little bit about LinkedIn ads. Good morning, Paul. Chuck, yay, I'm so glad to see you guys. All right, so on all of my shows, I do giveaways. I'm a big fan of giving stuff away. We try to line things up with our guests. So one of the things that I do have in my arsenal that came by my own need. I've heard this said, sometimes entrepreneurs create things for others based on own need. That was certainly the case with something I created. I needed to up my LinkedIn game. I needed to get my profile cleaned up. Like, it was so bad. Like, I don't know about y'all, but LinkedIn is like, I don't spend a lot of time there or haven't. I was like, I got to get this cleaned up. So I did some research. I figured out what I needed. I did a little training on it, and I'm that way to you guys today. two winners. It's my 9 steps to optimizing your LinkedIn profile. So it comes with a little checklist. It comes with some image, like some templates for your cover, in case you need to update your cover. So it's a sweet little prize. So hopefully, and it's in right. So what you hear from AJ is like, okay, I need to get over there and do some LinkedIn ads. Well, you might need a profile a little bit. So I'm hoping that 2 people today are going to get this little goodie. You're going to really get some benefit from it. How do you win? Okay, so you win by sharing what we call audience. So I get my fingers wrong every time. They're an aha moment. What is an aha moment? Like you hear something, you're like, I didn't know that. You know how you always give sound effects, but you know, have that that moment. You're like, okay, I needed to know that. Or sometimes we know things. Let's just be honest. Sometimes we even teach things that we don't necessarily ourselves very well. So seriously, if you hear something that you didn't know or something you knew but you needed to hear again, those are what we call aha moments. Drop those in, and that's how we will put you in the wheel. Wow, that's what we call it, the winner's wheel. And next up, one small other thing, if you know somebody that would get some value, if you have a small business friend or another entrepreneur that you know that would get some value from learning about LinkedIn ads, tag them, you know, send them a text, whatever, share this out. Oops, I said the S word. Sprinkle it out into the etherwebs or the interwebs. The interwebs, not the etherwebs, the interwebs, and let people know that we are here. We love the love. We love sharing great things, and I'm excited that AJ is with us today. So let me tell you a little bit about AJ. I've been talking up a storm, but let's do what we are here for, okay? Let's get him in here and let's start asking some questions. So AJ is a LinkedIn ads pro who founded B2LinkedIn.com, a LinkedIn ads specific ad agency. So y'all, how more appropriate is it for us to ask questions from somebody who does this day in and day out? That's what his business is focused on. He is an official LinkedIn partner. Again, hello. I got the good stuff going on here today. Host of the LinkedIn Ads Show podcast and has managed among the world's largest LinkedIn ads accounts worldwide. He is a ginger and a triathlete, which we're going to talk a little bit about. I got to share something with you guys in a minute. He and his wife live in Utah with their 4 kids, and his company car is a wicked fast go-kart. So put your hands together for AJ. Hey, AJ, let me get you in here. Oh, why is this not working? I hate when things don't work. There we go. Hang on. There we go.
I'm in.
Okay, so let me just tell y'all. Okay, go ahead and do it. Turn it on real quick so that everybody can see it.
Oh, you got it.
Yes.
One moment. Just takes a second to warm up.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go. Aha. Okay, now we're moving.
Okay. So AJ has a treadmill underneath his feet right now. So when he says he's a triathlete, he means it. I think that is pretty incredible. Now, another thing I found interesting. So how far away from the office is your house? Like you said, a go-kart is your preferred means of transportation. So do you seriously, do you just get on it and go to work, or what does that look like?
Unfortunately, the go-kart is not street legal. So I do kind of rip it around the neighborhood for fun. And my neighbors know me, so they don't call the cops. But I can't quite take it to the office, unfortunately.
Oh, man. So something y'all might not know about me is I'm a little competitive. And you put me on something that has it's a motorized something like I don't know, anything. I mean, even if the lawnmower would go faster, I would make it go faster, you know? But I like snowmobiles. I'm like, we go we try to go skiing every year. And so we went one year, and the guide, that was taking us out, said, maybe you need to get in the back because he, as most women, go slow, right? I'm like, no, I'm going to be in the front, and and I left everybody else behind. So anyway, it was fun. But that's just a little story for y'all this morning. All right, so enough about me and AJ's go-kart and all the fun stuff. But when it comes to LinkedIn ads, how did you choose LinkedIn ads? Like, the reason I'm asking that question is because most everybody like gravitates to Facebook ads, right? Did you just see it as a great opportunity? I'm just curious as what made you choose to focus in on LinkedIn ads?
Well, it was just as much of a surprise to me as it was to you, I think. I came from the world of search engine optimization and Google ads. Those were really my specialties. And I went to go work for, it was actually the last company I worked for before starting this company. It was back in like 2011. And I was talking to my new boss, who was the CMO, and I laid out my digital marketing strategy as I went into this business to business company. And I remember her saying, all that sounds great. Go ahead and execute it. But just so you know, we just started a pilot with LinkedIn ads about 2 weeks ago. See what you can do. And I didn't want to look stupid to my new boss. So I said, yes, ma'am, absolutely. And I dove into the platform and started trying things out. And I pretty much took my same strategy that I have used for years and years with Google ads and brought it to LinkedIn. Then about 2 weeks later, I had one of my sales reps who came up to me and said, AJ, we don't know what you're doing, but we're fighting over your leads over here. Keep it up. And I had no idea what he was talking about. So I went into our CRM to look at the leads. And sure enough, every single one of them was sourced from LinkedIn ads. And that was not the only advertising I was doing. So I kind of took that as a hint that's like, maybe you should be doing something more with this channel. Maybe there's something special here that people haven't caught on to. And so over the course of the next 2.5 years, I grew that account to become LinkedIn's largest spending ads account in the world. And after that, I was pretty well convinced that, wow, I was going to go out on my own and like actually do something with this channel that no one talks about.
I love that. Sometimes opportunity comes our way when we're not even looking for it. We just have to be willing to say yes to it, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so you started doing LinkedIn ads when you were in somebody's employ. You were doing LinkedIn ads for them. And then you're like, I can do this on my own. I can step out and not work for this person anymore. What was that journey like, saying, I'm going to be an entrepreneur versus, holding a position in someone else's company?
Yeah, so this one's kind of an interesting story. My entire life, I have loved startups. I've loved entrepreneurship. It's always been exciting to me, but I had no guts. I wanted to be around those people. I wanted to be around the startup energy, but I wouldn't ever go out on my own willingly. And so what happened is actually at this company, I ended up getting laid off. And so when I had to go home and tell my wife, and who had 3 kids and one on the way, that I didn't have a job anymore. That was a pretty difficult thing to do. But I know this isn't a religious live cast, but we're very religious, and I make everything a matter of prayer. And so I went and interviewed for some jobs, and none of them felt right. And so when I prayed about it, I got this answer that was like, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Go and start the thing that you've been thinking of. And so I call myself a very unlikely entrepreneur. I wouldn't have done this without a little bit of heavenly help, I think, but I'm so glad I'm on the other side now. And definitely it was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
I love that. And so, I don't know if you know this about me, but I am very faith-based. I grew up and my dad was an elder in the church. My mom played the church piano. We were there every time the church doors opened. And so I'm absolutely very faith-based. So I'm, and, whether it's, whether you call, God, spirituality, whatever, everybody's got different, things that they feel motivates them that are outside of themselves, that they look to. But I love that story. It's a powerful story. As sometimes we've got to just step back and realize that we can't force things in our lives. There's opportunities. Again, you just got to look for them and be willing to say yes to them. So you could have been fearful and said, no, God, I'm not going to do that. I'm scared to do that, but you didn't. You stepped up and look where you are today. I think that's amazing. So just want to give you kudos for that. And a lot of my community is faith-based too. They know I share my faith all the time. So we're not trying to push our faith on anybody. I just want to say that real quick. But it's part of our story. And I think it's powerful in that context. So anyway, all right, enough about that. Sorry, I got off on a little tangent. So you've basically talked about why you chose LinkedIn. It was just kind of an evolution of things. But when it comes to your business now, are you solely focused on just LinkedIn ads, or do you do other things too? So it's just LinkedIn ads.
Yeah, totally LinkedIn ads. And it's fun because so many of our clients come to us with issues and or even potential clients, and I'll get a chance to tell them like, oh, hey, LinkedIn ads actually isn't the solution to this problem. You need SEO or you need Facebook ads. And because that's my background, I get to tell people from the whole perspective of digital marketing. So it's fun. But yeah, the only thing we execute for clients is LinkedIn ads. So we're a really good partner with other people who, they know we're not going to steal their work and they're not going to steal ours. It works quite well like that.
I love it. There's a lesson in this too. So I just want to pull it out real quick. The lesson is the one thing. I so struggle with the one thing. I always have, because there's just so many ways I can help people. But when you really narrow your focus, it's such a beautiful thing, because you can really, really excel at that one thing. Like, that's all you can, that's all you have to focus on. Like, in social media, like, things change like 10 times a day. Like, there's like something new popping up. My team keeps me up on all the latest changes, because I just can't do it anymore. But when it's just LinkedIn ads or just whatever, just the one thing, one lane, it makes it a lot easier to stay on top of stuff. So, okay. So when it comes to LinkedIn ads, because I think a lot of people, again, I said this in the beginning, where, everybody knows about Facebook ads, whether they've tried them or not. And by the way, I'd love to kind of do just a quick poll from everybody while I'm asking AJ questions, is like, have you tried LinkedIn ads yet? I'm just curious if anybody has tried LinkedIn ads. Me personally, I have not tried LinkedIn ads. I am intrigued by them. I've always heard that they're more expensive than Facebook ads. So we're gonna ask some of these questions, and I want to encourage you guys that are listening or even on the replay or watching live, if you what your questions are. I have a lot of questions, but if you have a question, I would love, we'll try to get them in here. We'd love to pull those in and have everybody's questions asked. Okay. So let's just start with that. Are the ads, LinkedIn ads, in your opinion and expertise, are they usually more expensive than Facebook ads?
Absolutely. And for anyone who hasn't tried them yet, I'm going to give you the formula for who should be trying them. So hang on for that. They, on average, I find that business to business clicks on Facebook are somewhere between about $2 to $3 for a visit to your website. On LinkedIn, they're between $8 to $12 per click. So you might look at that and go, that is insane. Why would I ever pay 3 to 5 times more for a click? Well, here's the key. This is why you want to care. LinkedIn ads give you the ability to target people by who they are professionally. So if you have a business to business product or service, then, let's say you're trying to sell software that you would only need if you were in human resources. Well, we can make sure that we're showing ads only to those people who are in human resources. Their seniority level is like manager and above or director and above. They're at a tech company with more than 500 employees. You can just be so specific about who sees your ads that when leads come in, they are 100%, your ideal customer. They're qualified. Whereas on Facebook, just because the targeting isn't that great for business to business, your sales team is going to have to throw out, 80 to 95% of the leads and stick them into the database. So you do the math, and LinkedIn actually usually comes in really, really well for a low cost per like sales qualified lead or marketing qualified lead, whereas Facebook tends to be a little bit higher, and that's where LinkedIn wins.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing where, especially if you're maybe a service-based business, like let's say you're a web design company and you're looking for a specific, and you specialize in real estate, right? Real estate agents, right? Then you can specifically target them and even target like agents, for example, maybe people who have, or what's the, there's another term for somebody that's higher up there in the real estate space. Anyway, that means they make more money, essentially. They're, it's
broker.
Yeah, broker maybe.
Okay.
Okay, maybe you're targeting a broker, right? So you can do that, and it's very difficult to do that same thing on Facebook. So basically on Facebook, the net is so much wider, and you're potentially attracting people that you think you're getting a good lead, but in the end, it's not going to end up being a good lead because they're not exactly who you're trying to reach. You get somebody on the phone, and you're trying to sell them, and you realize they have no money.
Exactly.
Versus LinkedIn, where you can target exactly those people. I think that's kind of the differentiator. I've heard the same. Okay, so are there different, like with Facebook, there's all kinds of different types of ads. Are there like different types of ad, like lead gen or traffic, or, I'm just curious I don't know anything. So I'm coming into this so totally cold, like probably a lot of other people. So are there different types of LinkedIn ads?
Well, this is perfect because you're so well versed in Facebook. Pretty much what LinkedIn does, they realize they're behind the curve. And so everything that Facebook launches that's successful, LinkedIn goes, hey, we'll have a little bit of that too. So pretty much all the same objectives that you're used to on Facebook are there. Pretty much all the same ad types with a few little flourishes that LinkedIn can add that Facebook hasn't. So they try to add their own kind of flair to it. But we have these text ads that show up only in the right rail. They're very much like the right rail ads on Facebook. We have the in-feed ads that they call sponsored content. You can do a single image like Facebook. You can do carousel. You can do video. You can do these other right rails that LinkedIn calls their dynamic ads. And you may have noticed them. I call them LinkedIn's creepiest ad format because they actually take your picture from your profile and stick it into the ad itself to get your attention. And then finally, we have what are called sponsored messaging ad formats. And one is kind of like an email that you pay per person you send it to their messaging box. So it's not like a chatbot experience yet. Facebook's really good with like the ManyChat and the Mobile Monkey and all that. And then we also have one that is kind of getting that direction. It's called conversation ads. And you can set like a preset, kind of a choose your own adventure, and then people can click on those and you can lead them down different paths based on what they're interested in. So lots of different options.
Okay, that is such good stuff. So now that begs so many other questions. So in your estimation, what has been the best and most effective? I'm curious about those conversations. Actually, let me ask the first question, and then I want to dig into some of the others too. So do you have a preferred type of ad that has worked best for you and your clients? I'm sure it's goal-based, but I'm just curious if some types of ads have worked better than others.
We actually do have a very favorite single or double set of ad formats. The first is sponsored content, just the single image in-feed ad. And I think it's because just the way that LinkedIn price things, both video and carousel tend to be a little bit more expensive, like 10 to 20% more expensive per click. So we realized if we go into a single image version of sponsored content, it's going to be a little bit less expensive. It's also simpler to build. So we just have to throw together like one or two images and then we can launch and pivot faster. So we love that one. 95% of the time, that's going to be the only ad we launch for a new client, kind of depending on their budget. But then a close second is the original text ads. So these were the first ad format that LinkedIn had back in 2008. And they kind of get poo-pooed a little bit because they don't have a very high click-through rate. The average click-through rate is 0.025%, meaning that 2.5 people click out of every 10,000 times these ads are shown. So you might ask yourself, like, why is that a good thing? Well, I'll tell you, it's the free branding. These are the cheapest ad format. You can bid all the way down to $2 per click if you'd like. And it makes it, because they're shown so many times to people and they're just constantly on the screen, you're going to get this free branding effect that oftentimes, well, the test that we've done, we've found that if you're running your text ads at the same time as sponsored content, you'll see your click-through rates on your sponsored content increase by about 13%. So doesn't cost very much to add on. They may not be very like, I don't want to say performance. They're not going to generate a bunch of volume, but they do such a good job at assisting your other ad formats that I think they're totally worth running together.
So good. So, I've said that for years. Anytime you're spending money on Facebook, they're sending more reach your way to other ads and even your Facebook page, so it's kind of that same thing. It was interesting to me. You talk about just the fact that just a straight up straight up image usually performs better. I find that fascinating because video is so popular and is really converting higher on other platforms. Why do you think that is? That it's not, video doesn't convert as well over on LinkedIn? I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
So here's my theory. On Facebook, one of the biggest reasons you'd go is to be entertained. Facebook, it's a great platform to just be in touch and find out what's going on in the world. LinkedIn, on the other hand, you usually only log in when you have something to do. You're on a mission. You're going to do something, particular. So if you see video in your LinkedIn feed, chances are you're going to look at it and go, "Oh, that's nice, but I'm on my way to go do something." Whereas on Facebook, you might go, "Ooh, this is entertaining. I'll stick around and watch." And the metrics actually bear this out when, if you're going to pay 10 to 20% more per click, even if the conversion rate's the same, we're still going to look at a video ad cost per conversion and a single image ad cost per conversion. And we're going to say, oh, the single image ad is performing better. So certainly we have had good luck with some video ads, but for the most part, I think Facebook is just a better network to get people to spend time for entertainment.
Yeah, it's so true. That's why I think there's so much more value in some cases, depending on what your business model looks like, for LinkedIn ads, because you're right. People aren't there to googly gaw, they don't care about your kid's birthday party or whatever. They're there because they're business people and they're focused on one thing. So I think that's such a great point. You mentioned that you can actually get into people's inboxes now. On Facebook, I keep comparing it to Facebook just because most people are probably more familiar with that. But obviously, there's messenger ads and things like that. I sometimes get the sponsored. I just call them sponsored, which means somebody else is paying to get into my inbox. Get those. So, are those more expensive? And do you think they work better than, just, in your feed ad?
Yeah, so in general, they are more expensive. So here's how it works. All of the other ad formats on LinkedIn, you can change them to a cost per click bid. So you can literally say, hey, LinkedIn, I only want to pay you a dime if someone actually clicks on my ads. They're showing real interest. But with these sponsored message ads, you're going to pay per person you send it to, and there's no guarantee that they're going to see that they got it or open it to actually read it or then click on your call to action inside. So we're going to pay on average about 35 to 75 cents per person we send these messages to. And then about 55% of them will actually open the message to see what's inside. And then this really depends on your offer, but the average is about 3.2% of those who open it will click on what you ask them to click on. And so when you do that math, you come out to something crazy like a $28 to a $55 cost per click. So it's really interesting. It's a kind of special ad format, but it's one that I will only run when I know I have a very special VIP offer that vast majority of people are going to open because it looks interesting, and then it feels so VIP that they just have to click. If you have one of those kinds of offers, because you paid per person you send it to, regardless of the performance, when performance is high, you can get your cost per click down less than like $1 or $2. So they can be very good, but certainly I test into them to make sure we have that kind of offer.
That is so good. Yeah, I think that, when you're looking at, again, comparing the two, a lot of people open their messages over on Facebook, they're in their messenger. The open rates are usually ridiculously high, but I love that you have average conversion rates. That just tells me you have done the work. You have spent a bunch of money on LinkedIn ads, and what's, what's going to work. I love that. So if you're just starting out with a LinkedIn ad and you're not quite sure if your business or what you're offering is going to sell or convert, then what do you recommend for somebody who's just brand new, who needs a place to start and doesn't know exactly how to go about it?
Well, let's go over the formula first for who is a good fit for LinkedIn ads. Because if you can rule out the fact that like, hey, my business isn't a good fit, then I'll definitely have some recommendations for you. I mean, heck, I'll have recommendations for you if it is good too. But here's what we've decided. I have 4 points here. If your target audience is someone that you can define by who they are professionally, their job title, the type of company they're at, their industry, those kinds of things, then LinkedIn is, you get a check mark there, because we know it's more expensive. And so we're willing to pay that kind of a premium if we can get access to an audience that we can't get anywhere else. So there's your number one. Number two, you want to make sure that you have enough budget to approach it properly. Because if you just go and spend $100 or $200 on LinkedIn ads, that's not nearly a large enough sample size to statistically know whether or not it's going to work for you. And chances are you're not going to hit it out of the park the first time. So we recommend if you are set to spend $5,000 on your first initial test, whether that takes place over 2 days or over the course of 6 months, that's about how much data you need in order for your conversion rates to become statistically significant to the 95% confidence interval. Basically meaning once you've spent $5,000, you can look at your results and say, yeah, like it looks promising, or no, I should get out. So that's your number two. Number three, you want to make sure that you have an offer that is not just click here to talk to my high pressure sales rep. On Facebook, it's cheap enough that you can do things like sharing free thought leadership. Come and read my blog. Check out this infographic. But on LinkedIn, we're paying $8 to $12 for every click that you get. It's just not going to make financial sense unless you're in the Fortune 500 to send traffic to your blog posts. So instead, you want something that's kind of in between, a lead magnet, a free piece of gated content. And it has to be attractive enough that people are willing to actually put in their information and download this thing. So that you really have to make sure you're good there. And then number four, make sure that when you close a deal, it's worth $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to you over the lifetime, because we know it's going to cost usually between about $1,000 to $4,000 in ad spend on LinkedIn to close a deal. So if you're going to make $15,000 when your customer closes, there's plenty of room there to pay sales commissions and front future ad spend, pay an agency to manage. There's my little plug. Plenty of room for that.
So good, so good. So a couple of things that I picked up on that is one, you really don't. Well, let me back up, because you talked about lead magnets, and those are free. That's free content. So that means that your customer, it's bigger than just the customer acquisition cost, meaning you're getting somebody in the door with something free, because you ultimately have to sell them into something, which means you have to have something to sell them, and you have to have a plan. You can't just say, here's my free thing, and then, not have a plan to convert that lead. So, that's a piece. So now you talked about that you need something that's pretty high ticket. Like, if you have something that's, you're paying 11, 12, or $8 to $12 to get them in the door, and you're just selling them something that's $300, it's probably not going to be it's not going to be super worthwhile, because you have to spend a whole lot of money to get those people in your funnel to begin with. So but if, in your opinion, based on people that you've worked with before, if you had to like name some like types of industries that have really thrived with that model, where they're doing something, leading off with something free but then selling something that's high ticket, like, can you just tell us a couple of industries that has worked really well with LinkedIn ads?
Yeah, it's really interesting. We've done all kinds of testing across all different industries, and we find the same things. It almost doesn't matter what industry you're in. All industries, all professionals tend to act about the same. We find little nuances here and there, but nothing that's groundbreaking. What we find is doesn't matter what kind of offer or lead magnet that you're using. If it's like a one-page cheat sheet or a checklist, or a 5-page guide, or a 45-minute webinar, or a 48-page ebook, it doesn't matter what it is. The reason why people are going to sign up and download it is for the promise of what you tell them they're going to get out of that. So if you're saying, hey, when you download this piece of content, you are going to learn X, Y, and Z, and these are going to be super important for your career, or you'll then be able to take that and go do A, B, and C. Those, like, it's just the promise of what they're going to get from your content that will get them to download it. It almost doesn't matter what the format is.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that, because I'm always about, if people don't care really about your thing, they want to know what's in it for them. They want to know what's the transition. What am I going to see on the other side of this, and what matter to me? And that's what we have to lead with, I think, when we're marketing anything that we're doing. Okay, so if we're not super savvy on LinkedIn, how do we even spot a LinkedIn ad? Do they have the word sponsored? Like, you can technically see all the, like, in Facebook, what an ad is and what it looks like. But on LinkedIn, how do you spot them?
Okay, the first and easiest way is open up LinkedIn either on your browser. Your news feed is going to be the first thing that pops up, or open up your LinkedIn app. And again, the news feed is going to be the first thing that pops up. If you look in the second item in your news feed, you'll see it'll say promoted, and it's usually from a company that you don't already follow. So that's how you can spot it there. When they come in to your message box, you're only allowed to receive one of these every 30 days. So you'll now be paying attention for when you see them. It will say promoted right next to the message as it comes in. The ones that are over in the right rail, I think text ads will actually say ads, and there'll be a 3-pack of your ad and a couple other of your competitors. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they will all be labeled, sponsored or promoted, but most of the time we're not thinking on LinkedIn about ads. They're not quite as prominent as they are on Facebook, so you might have missed them altogether. But pay attention; they're there.
Yeah, I just was thinking this morning, I usually do see them, I think, but they don't seem to be quite as in your face, like I think as Facebook ads. It seems like my Facebook feed is like just inundated with ads. And, that might be because, could be a variety of things. People are spending more money over on Facebook, so you see more ads. Not as many people are spending money on LinkedIn ads. Who knows? Or maybe I just see more ads because I'm always looking at ads, because I reverse engineer them. I'm like, okay, let's see, this is cool. Or, what are they marketing here? How are they marketing it? So I'm always looking at the marketing value of ads. Okay, so when it comes to ads, just like any platform, like, what are 3 common mistakes that you see people making all the time that you're just like, you want to shout at them and say, stop, I don't want you doing that anymore?
Okay, the 3 most common mistakes are the ones that LinkedIn actually tells you to make. So this is where LinkedIn's showing their greed, I think I'd call it. When you very first go into a Facebook, your very first ad set that you're creating, if you don't know what you're doing, you just kind of take the default all the way down, you're not going to get screwed. You're probably going to, it may not perform as well as it could, but like, Facebook's a pretty generous platform. You'll probably do okay. LinkedIn, on the other hand, when you go in and build your very first campaign, you go in and set who your audience is and how you pay for it. There are 3 things here that LinkedIn tells you to do that are just insane. So the first is they will auto check a box that's kind of in the middle of your screen that says enable audience expansion. Audience expansion is the COVID-19 of LinkedIn ads. Avoid it at all costs. It's basically saying, hey, LinkedIn, I know you're charging me a premium for my traffic. Go ahead and find people that I didn't select and shove them into my audience to muddy my results. So don't do that. That's your number 1. Number 2 is when you go down to the bidding, like how you're paying for the traffic, they will default you to what's called automated or max delivery. And this is essentially cost per 1,000 impression bidding, where they can bid as high as they want. And that is the most expensive way to pay for your traffic 90% of the time. So the second thing you want to do is go and change that to manual cost per click bidding. And that leads us to the third mistake. The third mistake is when you look at, right when you switch it to a manual cost per click bid, LinkedIn will say, here's what we recommend you pay. It's $21 per click. And here's the range of what your competitors are bidding. It might be between $16 and $32 per click. Total bullcrap. I can count on one hand the number of accounts who actually have to bid in that range. So just for testing, just ignore their recommendations and bid all the way down to like $1. And when you click away, LinkedIn will show up in bright red letters, oh, the minimum bid for this audience is actually $575 or $615 or whatever they say. And that's how you can tell where the minimum bid is. If you're just getting started, start at the minimum bid and see how much you can get, because you can always increase it if you need more traffic, but no reason to just blow your whole budget on day 1 like LinkedIn is telling you to do.
OMG, y'all. If you were listening, you just got the best advice ever there, because when you're just starting, like, you tend to think the platform is your friend. You do. Like, they give you these little pre-checked boxes and you're like, okay, this is what I need to know. Obviously this is good. But it's almost like they're kind of tricking you in this case, because they're basically saying, hey, you need to pay $32 or else. But if you don't know, you might pay $32. So I'm so glad that you gave us that. And that's amazing knowledge, y'all. I'm just saying. Best advice ever, says Carolyn. Yes. So let's talk about targeting. You talked a little bit about it, but can we dig into it a little bit more? Like, what are some of the things that we can target, and maybe what should we target to be more effective or most effective?
I got it. You're going to need to give me a time check on this one, because I could talk about LinkedIn targeting for hours. But basically, we get access to targeting by job title, which most people do. And it's probably the most competitive type. So if you can find out how to target your audience in a different way, you'll probably end up paying less. But we can target by department that someone's in, their level of seniority, the individual skills they've listed on their profiles. So think of that like interests on Facebook. We can target the names of groups that people are members of, which is amazing, because I'm sure all you Facebook advertisers really wish you could target by group. We have been able to on LinkedIn. We can also target by the industry that a company is in, their growth rate, their geography, obviously, the normal demographics. We can target by the company size. We can target by the specific company name, which is great because LinkedIn has that data. We used to be able to do that on Facebook, but not very many people actually filled that information out. On LinkedIn, everyone has. And we have lists that we can upload. We can upload lists of individual contacts or companies. We have retargeting, and everything I've listed off, that's probably only about a third of all of the targeting options that we have on LinkedIn. It's very, very robust, and they keep rolling out new stuff all the time.
Okay, so basically, especially that group thing, that is incredible, because you're right. Like, on Facebook or in Facebook groups. I mean, think about it. Like, like, I know one of our viewers today has a dog business. So can you imagine if you had, if you could target a group of dog lovers, for example? I mean, that would be incredible, because, they've opted in and said they're, they're in that group because they have dogs and love dogs and that kind of thing. So I think that would be an amazing targeting feature. Okay, so when it comes to the look of a LinkedIn ad, what are like the touch points? Like with Facebook, it's usually the image or the video or whatever. That's usually what grabs people's attention. Then they go to the headline, and then maybe they'll read the text blurb. But on LinkedIn, is it the same? What is the first touch point that grabs people's attention, and it is the thing?
Yeah, so this is so similar to Facebook, but then it also definitely has its differences. Like for instance, the image is important on LinkedIn, just like it is on Facebook, but it's important for a different reason. The way that we grab someone's attention with an image, because LinkedIn's whole color palette is blues, grays, and whites, just like Facebook is, I'm sure you've all found success in trying to use colors that contrast against that. So any like artist will tell you, look on the color wheel, and if you see where blue is, look at what's opposite of that. That's orange. So try to really saturate your images in oranges, reds, greens, purples, pinks. That's going to help it stand out. And what we find on Facebook, and please correct me if I'm wrong because I don't get like this hardcore into Facebook, but we find that images are really good at getting people to convert. When you have the right image, you're driving clicks. On LinkedIn, what we find is the image is key to getting someone to stop the scroll. It's their thumb stopper, but the ad copy, usually it's the intro text, the text that comes up above that image, is what's going to convince people to actually get their attention and click. And then you have the headline down below, which we've done a lot of testing and it doesn't usually come into effect all that much. So for us, the first test that we'll do, as long as we have a good image that's grabbing attention, the first test we'll do is testing intro against intro. Like, maybe we're testing someone's motivation. This will make you look like a hero, or you'll get fired if you don't do this. And learn more about what your customer is interested in.
Oh, so good. It's interesting too, because that is slightly different, but very similar in a lot of respects, I think, to what you would do over on Facebook. Okay, so so many questions. When it comes to because a lot of us, I think most people that are watching right now have not tried LinkedIn ads. So if you were to give all of us like 3 simple steps or 3 simple tips that we could use to jumpstart this process so we could do it ourselves if we wanted to, what would those 3 tips be?
Okay, it's actually going to be 8 tips. So I'm going to give you a URL here. What we found is, this actually happens to be every time I go to launch ads on a new platform. I'll set aside like a Saturday morning and I'll say, today I'm going to launch Quora ads, or I'm going to go and launch TikTok ads. And once I get into it, I realize, oh man, I need to go and create some page, or I need to get access to something. And I never get a launch until several days later. So what we did is we created, it's the onboarding checklist for LinkedIn. It's the same checklist that we actually give to all of our new onboarding clients. It's everything that we need to start advertising. And we turned that into a freebie. So anyone who wants it, you can go to our website, b2linked.com/checklist, and you can download it for free. It's the 8 things. It's like getting page access and how to create an account, and like what to consider in creating your targeting and what sort of imagery and text to put together. It's got everything you'll need to give you a nice leg up, which I really appreciate on any platform that I go and try. Oh, Kim, did I lose you? Okay, I might be here alone. And if so, I so apologize to everyone who's watching who doesn't get to hear Kim. Hopefully I didn't just freeze up and lose us all. And I can't see the chat, so I have no way to verify whether I'm just talking away. If I am talking away, I should probably try to provide some value until Kim gets back. So one thing that I can kind of go back to with the last conversation about targeting, we found certain combinations of targeting to work really well. I mentioned that job title was kind of expensive, but if you go to, we like to combine a way of targeting a person and combine it with their company. So we'll usually target job title with company size or company industry or even company name. And then we'll do the same thing with someone's job function, which is the department they work in, with their level of seniority. Again, we'll couple it with company size, company industry, or company name. Same thing with skills. We can do skills and seniority. And then we can also do groups plus seniority. And then also, tack those on to the company name stuff. So hopefully if everyone can still hear me and cannot hear Kim, that is some value I'm able to drop while I'm awkwardly trying to figure out what's going on. And just in case, I'm going to run over to LinkedIn and look at a message with Kim just to see if if she lost me. If I'm gonzo, I apologize. I asked her the question.
Okay, I'm back. I am so sorry, AJ.
Cool. I don't know if you heard all that, but I was like, I think I'm the only one here. I better drop some value. So I went on and talked about targeting and stuff too. I apologize if that was super boring for anyone else.
So I was just like, I'm hoping AJ is still there and he's talking away. So I missed the 8 things. Man, I wanted to hear the 8 things. So I'll go back and listen to the replay.
Cool.
So thank you for carrying on the day. For some reason, my internet just went out, and it happens. That's the nature of life. So I know there has bound to be so many people whose minds have been blown because I've seen it in the comments. People are like, "Oh my gosh, this is such great information." So if somebody wants to get plug into your knowledge or hire you to do their own their LinkedIn ads, what would the process be? I mean, where do you want to connect? Where do you want them to connect with you at?
All right, so a couple different pathways here. If you're interested in working with us, if you just go to our website, b2linked.com, you can fill out the form on any of those pages, and we'd love to help you explore and see if LinkedIn ads are a good fit for you. If you're not ready for someone to actually run them for you yet, maybe you want to take a stab at it yourself, I have a few really good resources. The first is that checklist I mentioned before, b2linked.com/checklist. That'll get you a nice leg up. I'm also the host of the LinkedIn Ads Show podcast. So if you go and listen to that, I don't hold back at all. We get real nerdy, and it is literally a masterclass on all things LinkedIn ads. So that's worth checking out. Also, LinkedIn Learning. If you've ever checked out the courses that you can get on LinkedIn, I'm actually the author of the one on LinkedIn advertising. And so it's by far the least expensive, one of the best courses you could ever get for LinkedIn ads. And it's super cheap. So check that one out if you want to just dig in on a Tuesday or whatever and figure out what you're doing. And you're always welcome to reach out to me. I love to help whenever I can.
Oh, I so love that. I really love that you talked about the LinkedIn Learning. I have gotten some really good stuff from there, stuff that you wouldn't find necessarily in other places. So I'm just curious. I mean, I'll ask that question afterwards. But anyway, I want to give a big shout out to our winners real quick. Our winners are going to be Carolyn and Catherine. You both won the 9 steps to optimizing your LinkedIn profile. And again, it's just the one thing, guys. It's not like I'm not a LinkedIn expert, but if you want to get your profile up and operational and make it look good, especially if you're going to be doing ads of any kind, I highly recommend that you get your profile cleaned up, because if you're like me, yours was a little bit of, maybe a little bit of a hot mess. Mine certainly was. So go check that out. So congrats again to Carolyn and Catherine. If you will just go to, let me drop in here you go. All our winners, the two winners, go to kimgarst.com/winner, give us your details. We'll get you a login set up and you will be good to go. All right. So, I just want to thank you again, AJ, for being with us. Hopefully you guys have got some great value from him today. You couldn't have avoided not. I mean, seriously, this was so amazing. So thank you for being with us and sharing your wisdom. It's been amazing. All of you guys that are with us live, or even watching on the replay, or tuning in at any point later, even listening on the podcast, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Time is valuable to all of us, and when you spend a little with us, we are so appreciative of it. So take care of yourselves, stay safe, and God